This is just my own opinion. I think it's because we tend to kind of box God in and like he only cares about like vocational ministry and like that's all God is about. But I truly believe like God is in everything.
Coming live on your radio.
What they want?
That real and raw.
How they get it?
DJ Focus.
What we doing?
Making music, reaching the corner. And it's all for the
And
kingdom.
we gon' make sure they know it.
Ooh, 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 ooh. We gon' take it there. I like red letters over trap beats to fix it. Saying, ooh. DJ Focus, tell him turn you up. Ooh. DJ Focus, tell him turn you up. Ooh.
Welcome back, DJ Focus, Dice Gamble. You tap back into the Fixx, your source of faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry. It's time for our spiritual detox. Y'all know how we do it. And I'm excited because, we talk about, people finding God in spaces and changing their life. And I really feel like we got a powerful testimony coming from this young lady who has been a singer for a while now. Listen, she's been signed to some majors that a lot of artists would love to be signed to. And done some good music over there too as well. And now, she said she gonna do it for the Lord now. So I'm excited to have a conversation with the one and only Taylor Charmayne. What's going on, sis? How you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. And listen, I was excited too as well because I heard you from Columbus, Ohio. And
Yes, sir.
yeah. Let's be very clear. We always OHIO. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm just a
Yes.
couple of hours from you, so that road trip is nothing. We stay
Exactly.
going on that road trip. So to start off there, talk about, because a lot of people don't know it. If you're born and raised Columbus, Ohio, talk about what that's like to be born and raised Columbus, Ohio, and how that kind of shaped who you are.
Yeah, definitely. So I actually was born in Maryland. I was actually
Okay.
born in Maryland,
Okay.
but moved to Ohio when I was little, and I feel like I was raised here 100%. Um, there's not much going on in
Hmm.
Columbus, Ohio. It's better now, but like when
Okay.
I was little, it was really just cornfields. There was not much to it. So it's very interesting, like being on the music scene and being in Columbus because there's not much movement in
Hmm.
that space here.
Hmm.
So yeah, every time someone asks me where I'm from and I say Columbus, Ohio, they're like, "Why are you in Columbus, Ohio?"
Hmm.
But it's a good place to be. It's just definitely not where the music's at.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It's sports. Let's
Yeah,
be very clear. Everybody
for
know
sure.
that's Ohio State football, Ohio State basketball, Ohio State sports. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's real. So when did you get into music? Take us back, on the journey. When did you first know you had it?
So it's kind of hard to say. So when I was little, I was like in choir and I would always get the solos and I loved singing, but I'd never really thought like, oh, this could be like a career for me. I always thought that was like, oh, like being in a studio is so untouchable. That's for people who like are in Hollywood and stuff. And so when I was in college, my sister's friend actually was working on a project and he knew that I could sing. And so he was like, hey, I want to bring her down to Michigan and just like have her sing a hook on this record that I'm doing. And so that was my first time in the studio and that like opened my eyes so much and I fell in love with the process, like just coming back out of the booth and listening to the record like on the monitors for the first time. That was something I will never forget. And it was from there that I really like fell in love with music and I was like, this is what I want to do. And so over the years, just kept kind of traveling back and forth to Michigan, trying to work on records, trying to like learn vocal production and all the things. And eventually it got to the point where everyone was kind of doing their own thing. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to start learning how to engineer. I'm going to learn how to write. I'm going to try to like
Mm.
vocal produce myself. And I just like grinded and grinded and grinded and eventually got like pretty good at it. And so since then I've just been kind of doing everything on my own, which there's still nothing better than like actually going to the studio and getting to be in a booth and having an engineer like run the board for you. But being able to do it on my own has kind of helped me tell my story in ways that I feel like I wouldn't be able to in like that studio setting. So it's been really cool. And yeah, now I like can't picture my life without music in the slightest.
Talk about the challenges. I'm glad you brought that up. You pretty much self-teaching yourself,
Mhm.
production, engineering, singing, vocals. Talk about some of the challenges though in teaching yourself that, and what kept you on track to keep doing it. Because like a lot of people would give up.
Yeah, I think that the thing that motivated me the most, I think, is because once I realized everyone was kind of doing their own thing, and I was like, well, if no one's helping me, then I'm not gonna get any music done. And I was like, I have to learn how to do this myself if I want this dream of mine to come true. And so that's kind of when I took everything into my own hands. I think the biggest challenge for me was definitely engineering because it's like as much as it is an art, there's still some technical things too that you like have to know what you're doing in order for your mix to sound good. And so that's where my biggest challenge kind of lied. But I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and fortunately, I had a lot of friends that were engineers, so I would like pick their brains and just be like, "Hey, like, how do I use a compressor? I don't know what I'm doing," and they would kind of help me out. So I think that was my biggest challenge, and, honestly, I just kept going because I wanted to be good. Like, I wanted to be good at engineering. I wanted to be a good songwriter. I've kind of always, like, strived for excellence. I think that's, something that's really important to me. I don't wanna do anything, like, with half effort. If I'm gonna do it, I wanna commit to it and, like, be great at it. So, that was kind of my driving factor in learning everything and keeping up with everything.
Who are some of the musical artists that kind of inspired you growing up, to kind of like shaped your sound? Like who are you listening
Yeah.
to?
I okay, don't judge me because I feel like no one ever expects these answers when I give them, but I grew up like my parents would always listen to Brian McKnight and Charlie
Okay.
Wilson and like The Temptations, like a lot of old school stuff. So when I like when I think of old school music, I think of music that's very intentional and it's very produced. Like it's purposeful. It's not just like a lead line and a track, you know what I mean? And there's some music, I think music has kind of led that way and it's still really great music, but
Hmm.
there's something great about like that intentionality of going in with an idea and a concept and a vision for a record that like 80s music, 90s music just really like hit the nail on the head. And so growing up listening to that, I also listened to a lot of jazz. Like my dad would always have on jazz music in the car.
Mm.
And so that like really I think tuned my ear a lot from a young age. And I just loved music. Like I loved listening to those records. And still to this day, like you can turn one on and I'm like, it takes me right back to that time. So I think those are definitely the people that kind of shaped my sound and my ear for music.
So how would you best describe the music that you make? If somebody wants to ask you what is Taylor's sound, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I never know how to answer this question.
Oh,
I
okay.
would say, man, I feel like I do so many different things. Like some stuff feels a little R&B-esque, some stuff feels pop, ballads. Like I think the sound, like sonically, they're kind of all different, but it always comes back to that like light-hearted, warm sound. So if I had to describe my sound, it would be warm, but I don't know how to put it into a genre.
Wow, really? So you really feel like you'll try, it doesn't matter, like whether it be R&B, whether it be traditional gospel, whether it be popish, whether it be
Hmm.
Afro beats, you gonna try it all, huh?
Yeah, I have an Afrobeat record on my album. I have a Jersey Club record on my album. I have a ballad. I have some R&B stuff. There is a like kind of like early 2000s punk rock sound to one of
Really?
my yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so it's like I don't ever know what to say when people ask me to describe my sound because I really love all music, so I'm like willing to try anything. Um, and I think a big part of getting those records to sound authentic is just like really being yourself on the record and letting that conviction like actually come through your vocal. So I don't put myself in a box when it comes to like sound, but I think if I could give it like an umbrella, everything's warm and everything's like soft and airy and just feels like you listen to it with your windows down like on a spring day.
So what's the feedback been from you doing pretty much all of the music, especially more in the faith-based Christian space? Like, have people been receiving you for not being stuck in this box and kind of doing everything, or just give us feedback on how that's been since you made the transition?
Yeah, I feel like it's been well received, which I'm so grateful for. It's fun getting to do music that people aren't expecting to be Christian. I think that's like
Mm.
a good motivator for me. Something that really inspires me is like I think Christian music for so long has been in such a box where it's like if it doesn't sound like this, then it's not worship to the Lord. But I really truly believe that your testimony, like the Bible tells us that we overcome the enemy by the power of the blood and by the word of our testimony. And so, like, putting your testimony into any song, like, doesn't matter what it sounds like, it's going to have an impact on the kingdom. And so, that's something that really inspires me too, is just like being authentic and like praising the Lord, telling your story. It doesn't matter if it's country sound and it doesn't matter if it's pop sound, and like it's going to bring glory to the Lord at the end of the day. So, yeah, it's been well received, and I'm super excited to put out more music because I think that it's way different than what I've been doing.
Well, that's what's up. Well, listen, we about to go to a quick break, but before we go to break, Taylor, we about to play a song that you're featured on. So I want you to just give
Oh,
just a little small like inspiration behind your verse on this song. It's actually Preston's song, Preston Tangy. I want to say I'm saying that right. All I need. So just am I saying
uh-huh.
that right? How do you pronounce his last name?
Yes, yes, you're right.
It's Tanky. Okay, Preston
Mhm.
Tanky. All I need. And listen, it's a smash record. I don't know why more people wasn't playing it. When I heard it off top, I'm like, this thing is a smash. But just talk about the inspiration that you did in this collaboration with Preston.
Yeah, I think it just comes from that place of like you've kind of tried everything. Like you've tried the relationships, you've tried your career, like trying to get all the things that you feel like would make you feel satisfied. But you finally get to the end of the road and you're like, I literally have nothing but the Lord. And the Lord has sustained me. The Lord has been good to me. He's been faithful to me. And that's just where my heart was in that record, is just really like, God is all that I need. He's all that I want. Like, and I want to, it's something that you constantly have to kind of reposture your heart in, because it's so easy to be like chasing after things of this world. It's in our nature too, but just kind of bringing yourself back to home base and being like, God is really all that I need, and everything that I want I can find in him. So yeah, that was my heart behind that verse on that record.
Are sleeping on some of the features that you were on before we get to talking about this new music you got going on. So I actually heard you on this song by shouts out to No Big Deal. Dilly is definitely everything on here on the Fixx. So you did a song with him some years back called Fragile. Talk
Hmm.
about that song and inspiration in that track.
Yeah, so actually, Dylan wrote that the whole thing. So I just like
Oh, okay.
I featured what he wrote. But
Okay.
yeah, I remember, I think I'm trying to think of what year it was. Maybe like
19, I think.
2018.
Or
Okay, so
18 might.
2018 is when I like met Dylan and we started like having conversations and stuff. This was before he was like real big and famous.
Right.
So it's always cool to like have those conversations. Um, but yeah, we just started chopping it up, and I think, yeah, I went to one of his shows. So he came to Columbus for like on his tour, and I went to one of his shows and we kind of hung out after, and then not too long after that is when he asked me to feature on that record with him. And that was my first like big feature in the Christian space. And so
Mhm.
I was really excited about it, and I remember he I think he like had a show somewhere. I don't remember where it was, but he had a show and someone like tagged me in their story, and it was like playing in front of this crowd, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool." Um so yeah, it was really fun working with Dylan, and I would love to work with him more in the future for sure.
You did a record with Jalen Ashan too as well. Talk
Uh-huh.
about that. I listen, that's a classic. You have I know you say you have range to do it all, but I'll be honest with you, you in your bag when you in this R&B little vibe. Like it come across like listen, sonically good, it's pleasing to the ear. So it's like this song you did with Jalen, talk about that song and how y'all both brought that to life. Because I know Jalen sing too as well. He does his thing.
Yeah. So are you talking about Summertime Love?
Yeah, summertime. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that song, I think he just like hit me out of the blue and was like, Tay, I need you on this record. And he texted to me, and I instantly was like, yes, I need to be on this record because it's so good. I love Jalen. He's an incredible artist, a great guy. Um, and so, yeah, working on that record was really fun. I love when you can talk about real stuff, and like Jalen. it's hard to describe his music because he's also one of those artists that can just do
Hmm.
like any kind of sound,
Hmm.
but it always has such a wholesome message behind it. And so when he sent me this record and it was about love, and like I love love. It's my favorite thing in the world. So
Hmm.
when I heard it, I was like, absolutely have to get on this record. And it's just nice to like make love records that are wholesome. You know what I mean? And it's not talking about nothing crazy, but just genuine like love. And so yeah, that was my heart behind that verse. I love that verse. It's like one of my favorite verses I've ever done. And yeah, that record just super warm and feels good and just inspired by the love that I hope to have one day.
Why do you think the church sometimes runs away from songs like that? Because I agree with you. I think we're not talking about relationships in the church, whether you be married or whether you're courting it or dating
Mhm.
or single. Like, why do you think the church is still kind of like, oh, that's worldly, that's secular, you shouldn't sing it that way? Why do you think people think that you can't be a believer but also express your emotions when it comes to everything that goes into a real relationship?
Yeah, I think because this is just my own opinion. I think it's because we tend to kind of box God in and like he only cares about like vocational ministry and like that's all God is about. But I truly believe like God is in everything. Um and like I think we miss him in those moments because we have this preconceived narrative of like what who God is, and like we just stick to that and we forget that like God is in the details and he's in the relationships, he's in love. We can't love anybody without the love of God. And so like
Facts.
he's definitely in that, and I think sometimes we just kind of keep God to like, oh, just the Bible and like just the church and just like the priesthood, and that's all that God's really in. But I think if we open our eyes and actually look for God in the places that we feel like we can't find him, he's everywhere.
That's real. So
Yeah.
talk about the journey of signing to the label. Like, what was that like? Was that a surreal moment for you? For like you finally all the hard work paid off and you made it? Like, walk us through that.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely a surreal moment. I told you from the beginning, like, I used to think just stepping foot in a studio was like untouchable. Like, you had to be like, the upper echelon of people who were in the music industry to kind of be in that space. And so when I got signed, or when I heard even that they were interested in signing me, it was kind of like a pinch me moment. And still to this day, I'm like, that happened.
Mm.
Like it was just kind of such a surreal moment. Um, very grateful, and also grateful how things have worked out and how they've played out. Because like the music industry can be a very treacherous place.
No, talk
Um,
about it. No. How treacherous is it? Talk about it.
it gets
What's
crazy.
your experience from just being in that arena for a little bit?
Yeah, so actually when I got signed, the craziest thing that has ever happened to me, I got signed and my advance was never given to me. It was actually taken by the person that was like managing my deal.
Oh
And
man.
yeah, it got really messy. So
Oh
yeah, I've
goodness.
been through the trenches a little bit in the music
Oh
industry, but
goodness.
it's okay. Like
Your old man ain't in jail, is he? Listen, I'm praying for you now because I'm just thinking if you was my baby girl, ain't no way in the world.
right? I was like, this is really happening? Like it was crazy. I don't know. So I just never think that people have that level of like audacity, but sometimes they do.
Mm.
And that's okay. Like to each his own, and no bad blood or anything like that. But yeah, I've seen the the dark side, and I have like my own horror stories from just being in that industry. But yeah, I'm grateful for how everything has played out. I'm grateful to be in the position that I'm in now. And just making music that I really love, making music that is in my heart. So I can't
What
complain.
was it tough for you to get out your contract? Like, how did that work? What did they let you leave
Honestly,
after they took your
yeah.
money from you and stuff? Okay. Like
It
I
was
like
like,
yeah, you showed up for work, you did what you supposed to do, and they didn't even pay you for it. It's
mhm.
like they still like, no, I need another album.
Right, right, right. And that's the thing. My whole album was done. My album was turned in, never got released. It was just a weird situation, but by the grace of God, they just let me out of my deal. And it was kind of like you just dusted your hands and moving on. So it was a weird situation, but everything worked out in my favor. So I can't complain.
Well, come on, let's talk about this new music before I get you out of here. I'm
Yes, sir.
excited. You're getting ready to drop this single and this album. So come on, what will the people hear when they really sit with this project and talk about your single that you're releasing?
Yeah. So my entire project is built around how to basically like how to come back to who you are after heartbreak and like leaning on the Lord through heartbreak.
So are we
I
talking
feel
about a
like
wait a minute, hold on. I feel like this is personal. Are we talking about a previous relationship that you putting out here on wax and instead of you calling them, you say, you know what? Yeah, it's gonna be a record to go platinum, and it's because of you. Is
well,
this okay? I didn't know if this was like one of them Usher confession situations or something like
not really, because truthfully, it's not even about the person. It's literally
okay.
about like how heartbreak caused me to kind of struggle in my walk with the Lord. And I feel
Okay.
like I'm really excited about this project, especially this single that's about to come out, because I don't think we talk about that enough. And from just conversations that I've had with people, so many people have struggled in their walk with the Lord because of how, like, the relationships they've experienced here on earth. Like, the same trust issues that we get from people and we kind of, utilize in our relationships are the same trust issues that we bring before the Lord. And I don't think
That's
we
real.
realize it a lot of the time. And so, truly, like, over the past 2 years, the Lord has just been giving me like revelation after revelation of the fact that, like, number one, He cares about heartbreak. Like, He's not just like, that's not something that He's just like, you know, keeps at arm's length. Like, He really does care about the posture of your heart and the condition of your heart, and He cares about your joy and He cares about your peace, and those are a lot of things that get tampered with in heartbreak. And so, yeah, like, really, when you listen to every single one of these records, it's almost as if I'm talking about the same exact thing in different
Mm,
ways. And this project, making it, has been so healing because every record was written after God kind of gave me revelation or a word to sustain me through those seasons. And so it's kind of like I've written a book, but just in songs. And I hope,
mm.
my prayer is that when people listen to these records, it'll wash over their minds and wash over their hearts and give them a fresh perspective on who they are in Christ, even after heartbreak, and who God is to them, even through heartbreak.
Uh, do we have any collaborations, any features on this? Well, come on.
Yeah, so I have a record with Joel Barnes. I have a
Okay.
record with Limo Blaze, Scooty Wop. Who else is
WAP,
on
you
there?
got one with WAP. Oh, this
Yep.
thing about to go hard. You got WAP on there.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. I have a record with Mike Teasy,
Oh,
and yeah, there's
you ain't
another.
playing. Oh, wait a minute. You ain't playing. You said you
No,
coming out.
sir.
Okay.
No, sir. I'm so excited about this album. I'm so grateful for every person that has hopped on it. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be so special.
What else are we getting ready after to drop the project? You gonna start doing some tours? What can
I
we
hope
expect?
so. That's the
Okay.
plan. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the plan. I'm so excited. And the thing that I'm looking forward to most is that in touring, I want there to be a huge emphasis on the word. Like, it's not just about the music to me, truly. Like, I'm not doing music because I just love music. But it's a gift and it's a vehicle for me to tell the gospel and to teach people about God's heart, and that I really want to take the opportunity to, like, actually talk about the Lord at these concerts and these events, and listen to music and have a good time, but also, like, I want to fill people's cups while we're there with the word. So I'm really looking forward to starting to, like, tour and all the things.
Stay there for a minute. You said something about, just, really being intentional about when you do start to tour to really spread the gospel. What keeps you centered there to where you stay focused on the mission? Absolutely. Having fun doing the music. God's blessed you with the gift, but what keeps you focused there? And also a two-part question to that, to add on to that, how did you navigate on the opposite side, the secular side, and not buy into the schemes? Let's
Hmm.
be very clear. A very attractive young lady, of course, they want you to get the bag. The more ratchet you are, the more naked you are, we gonna make you success. What
Mhm.
kept you from not going that way, and what has God shown you in your faith journey that keeps you grounded like that?
Definitely. So I'll start with your first question. Um, I feel like for me, I've done music for so long that I know how unfulfilling it is to just like listen to a record. And like
Mhm.
it's great. Like sometimes you listen to a record and it changes your life and it's like that record that you can point back to, oh, this is when like I felt the Lord free me from this, or this is when God gave me this revelation. I have songs like that where I can like pinpoint and be like, oh, God used this song to like sustain me in this season. And that's beautiful. But I also know that eventually that fades. And at the end of the day, a record is really just a record. And so what pushes me and centers me in that is the fact that I genuinely want to make an impact for the kingdom. Like I'm not interested in just being a recording artist or a singer-songwriter. I want to help push people towards the foot of the cross. I want people to actually get to know Jesus for who he is and not like, oh, who your church said he is or who your parents said he is, but like
That's
really get
good.
to know Jesus because he's so much greater than we often give him credit for. And that's like my heart. Like I really just want people to know God for who he actually is. Um, so that's number one. And then your second question, I think it's so funny that you asked that because there were so many times where I was really like having this internal battle of like, God, this doesn't feel right, but like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I would just be like back and forth, but never really felt comfortable with any of that. And I have some songs that were pretty secular, and I just never wanted to release them because I was like, this doesn't feel right. And so I really feel like the Holy Spirit has continually kind of nudged and pulled at my heart to be like, this isn't for you, this
Mhm.
isn't for you, and I have better for you, and I want better for you. And so like I'm not going to say I was never put in those positions to where like, oh yeah, less clothes, oh, say this stuff in your records, because I've been in those positions. And I just got to the point where eventually I was just like, you know what, I don't want to do this. This feels very counter to like who I am at my core. And even in moments where I really wasn't even like truly focusing on the Lord, like I still had that pull. And I thank God for that because that was just his grace, like trying to keep me for what he actually had for me. And so all glory to God on that part. Just grateful for like conviction and him constantly speaking even when like my back was turned against him.
That's what's up, Taylor. Listen, I appreciate you coming through, kicking it with us. Come on and tell the people how they connect with you, follow you on all your social media platforms, and please introduce this single. Listen, we about to break it. This is exclusive. We about to break it right here on the Fixx. So yeah, shout out all your platforms, and please introduce your single.
Yes, sir. So you guys can follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. My handle is Taylor is just fine. Make sure you follow me. And yeah, we're about to listen to A Heart You Didn't Break. This is my truest prayer to God, and I really hope you guys enjoy it.
Keep it locked. You're tuned into the Fixx. You know the Fixx is in.